And now we take you to Vadodara, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is delivering the opening remarks at the delegation-level talks with Spain.
और आपके डेलीगेशन का हार्दिक स्वागत है। एक्सेलेंसी, आपकी पहली भारत यात्रा है। पिछले वर्ष नई दिल्ली में G20 समिट में हम सब ने आपकी कमी महसूस की। मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि भारत में दीपावली के त्योहार के समय मुझे आपका स्वागत करने का अवसर मिल रहा है और मैं उस वडोदरा में आपका स्वागत कर रहा हूं जिसने मुझे पहली बार मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट बनाया था और बाद में मैं प्रधानमंत्री बना, तो मेरी ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी रही प्रारंभ में। ये और भी विशेष है कि आप मेरे होम स्टेट गुजरात आए हैं। सिर्फ इसलिए नहीं कि ये मेरा होम स्टेट है, बल्कि इसलिए कि गुजरात त्योहार और उत्सव की धरती माना जाता है। दीपावली प्रकाश, उत्साह, उल्लास, ऊर्जा और नए प्रारंभ का प्रतीक है। उसी प्रकार आपकी इस यात्रा से हमारे संबंधों में एक नई ऊर्जा और उत्साह का संचार हुआ है। आज C295 प्लांट के उद्घाटन के साथ साझेदारी के एक नए अध्याय की शुरुआत भी हुई है। एक्सेलेंसी, हमारी साझेदारी सदियों पुरानी है। लोकतंत्र और रूल ऑफ लॉ जैसी वैल्यूज में साझा विश्वास हम दोनों को जोड़ता है। इकोनॉमी, डिफेंस, फार्मा, IT, साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी जैसे कई क्षेत्रों में हमारा मजबूत सहयोग है और हम दोनों वैश्विक शांति, समृद्धि और सहयोग पर बल देते हैं। एक्सेलेंसी, पीपल टू पीपल कांटेक्ट हमारे संबंधों का मजबूत नींव प्रदान करता है। भारतीय युवा टैलेंट स्पेन के ग्रीन और डिजिटल ट्रांजिशन गोल्स में योगदान दे रहा है। लोगों के बीच बढ़ते हुए संबंधों को देखते हुए इस वर्ष स्पेन के बार्सिलोना में भारत ने नया कॉन्सुलेट खोला है। बेंगलुरु में स्पेन के नए कॉन्सुलेट खोलने के आपके निर्णय का हम स्वागत करते हैं। मुझे विश्वास है कि आज की हमारी वार्ता हमारी साझेदारी को और अधिक डायनेमिक और बहुमुखी बनाने में योगदान देगी। एक बार फिर से आपका और आपके डेलीगेशन का हृदय से स्वागत करता हूं।
Thank you very much, Prime Minister Modi. I would like to thank you for your kind hospitality and congratulate you on your recent re-election as Prime Minister. It is an honor for me and also for the Spanish delegation to be in India. I am certain that this visit will strengthen our bilateral relations and will honor the weight and influence that both India and Spain have in the world. A voice and influence that multiplies when our countries work together. I'm also pleased that today we are endorsing an ambitious joint declaration framing the various areas of our collaboration. We celebrate the signing of several agreements in the fields of investment, railways, customs, cultural exchanges, and we look forward to expanding the list soon to reflect the richness and depth of our ties. There is no doubt, my dear friend, that our cooperation will continue to grow across many other areas, and even more in view of the celebration of the Spain-India Year for Culture, Tourism and Artificial Intelligence in 2026. Our countries complement each other. India plays a prominent role not only in the Indo-Pacific but also in the wider geopolitical context. Spain maintains privileged relations with Latin America, historic ties in the Middle East, increased presence in Africa, and is a leading voice in the European Union. This geopolitical framework offers many opportunities for our countries to reach different regions and develop closer and more productive relations. India and Spain also share many goals, in particular strengthening the multilateral order and preserving peace and democracy worldwide. We're fully committed to working together on those goals. We face many challenges that can only be addressed in a concerted manner. The climate emergency, the fight against poverty and inequality require the effort and political will of all international actors. India's influence and leadership is essential to confront these issues, and so is Spain's commitment and determination. So, Prime Minister Modi, we look forward to continue advancing our great cooperation. Thank you very much.
Viewers who've just joined in, these are the visuals wherein both the both the leaders are holding delegation level talks, bilateral talks in the national capital. In fact, in Vadodara, and Prime Minister Modi holds talks with President of the Government of Spain. Both the leaders are accompanied by a delegation. The Prime Minister, in his opening remarks to the bilateral talks, he talked of the growing relationship, the strengthening of the relationship between India and Spain, and how Spain is an important nation with regard to and how India considers Spain as an important nation. He also talked of how he welcomes the opening of how he welcomes the decision of the Spanish leadership to open a consulate here in India, and this comes after India opened a new consulate in Barcelona. Also, the visiting dignitary, the President of the Government of Spain, in his opening remarks at the bilateral talks, he thanked Prime Minister for the warm welcome that he received, and also he congratulated Prime Minister for assuming the role as the Prime Minister of the country again. He also talked of how both the countries are endorsing a joint declaration, investment, railways, customs, cultural exchanges. Now, these are the areas where both the countries will be focusing on. And also, he talked of how year 2026 is the year of India Spanish year of 2026, and he also talked of how this would mean that the cooperation between the two countries will further grow. He also talked of shared goals between the two countries, like strengthening of the multilateral order, climate emergency, fighting poverty are some of the areas where both the countries will be working together. He also talked of how he looked forward to India's wisdom on these particular areas. This was a gist of what both the leaders said ahead of the bilateral talks that are currently taking place in Vadodara at the Lakshmi Vilas Palace. Both the leaders are holding bilateral talks in Vadodara. Prior to this, both the leaders visited the TASL, the Tata plant, and also they inaugurated the new unit which will manufacture the C-295 aircraft in India. To talk more about the visit of the President of the Government of Spain, we are joined in by a guest, Mr. Niranjan Marjani, Foreign Affairs expert, is joining us this afternoon. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you so much for talking us on DD India. To begin with, this is an important visit because it is happening after 18 years. And also the current President of the Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, is visiting India for the first time. Put into perspective for us the significance of this visit and also how both the leaders talked of further strengthening the relationship between the two. To what extent will this visit facilitate that?
This is a very important visit, and like you said, a visit from a Spanish president of the government is coming after 18 years. The last such visit was in 2006, and Prime Minister Modi visited Spain in 2017. So even if we consider that, this visit is happening after 7 years of Prime Minister Modi's visit. And now I think it is important for both the countries to continue with these high-level visits, because India-Spain relations, if we compare to India's relations with other countries, then we can say these are still in an emerging stage. And yes, there are a lot of exchanges at cultural level and business level. But I believe to further strengthen relations and to build more solid foundation for cooperation at global level, I think both the countries need to have more such high-level visits. There should be more exchanges and interactions between heads of state and heads of government. I think the visit by President of the government, Pedro Sanchez, is important in that aspect, and I hope that both the countries continue their momentum. See, I think India and Spain, they have a lot of potential to cooperate on a number of areas. Just now we heard both the leaders speaking, and they did underline several areas or sector in which the two countries can cooperate. So I think it's a good start in that sense, and the C-295 aircraft plant coming up at Vadodara, which has started at Vadodara, it's a very good beginning for India-Spain strategic relations. So I think India-Spain relations should grow from here onwards.
All right, yes, India's relationship should grow from here on. Now, sir, this visit also comes immediately after the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's visit to India. Also, in his opening remarks, the President of the Government of Spain talked of how Spain is an important and a prominent voice in the European Union. Also, help us understand more as to what prospects will this visit further open when we talk of India's relations or India's dealing with the EU.
India and EU enjoy very close ties, but at the same time, India's ties across EU member countries or across Europe for that matter, they are not equal. What this visit will do is that it will allow India to diversify its ties within EU and also within Europe, because Spain is one of the most important members of the European Union, and the European Union is one of India's largest trading partners. So in that sense, it is important for India to have diversified relations, have equal relations with various countries across the EU. So I believe this visit from Sanchez, it allows India to build more solid ties with the EU, because like I said, Spain, and particularly why is it important when India is looking to expand its economic cooperation with EU. Spain is currently among the fastest growing economies in Europe. And I think it's important that India takes advantage of this Spain's economy and should look forward to greater economic engagements with Spain. In turn, it would also increase India's outreach to the European Union. So I think this visit is important for India's bilateral relations with Spain as well as
for EU, European Union, yes. All right, sir, also this visit is marked by the most important engagement of the visiting dignitary, wherein he inaugurated the Tata plant in Vadodara. Get us more, though we know it is important and significant, but to what extent will it further solidify and further strengthen India's self-reliant dreams when we talk of aviation, when we talk of defense?
Yes, the Tata plant, Airbus plant coming up at Vadodara, it is a major step for India's Make in India campaign and for India's defense sector. As we know, the production facility, it will manufacture its first aircraft by 2026, and the remaining aircrafts are expected to be manufactured by 2031. Now, this is not just an assembly line or a plant assembling different parts of the aircraft, but it also includes a complete life cycle of aircraft manufacturing, production of spare parts, components, testing facility. So I think it's a big boost to India's defense sector, and it also sends a message across the world about India's defense capability and India's defense manufacturing. There is a possibility that 16 aircrafts which India is purchasing from Spain in flyaway condition, India would look forward to manufacture some of those here itself instead of acquiring in a flyaway condition. And as I understand, India is looking to increase its indigenous components with respect to spare parts as the production progresses. So around 75 to 80% of the components that are required for this aircraft, India is looking to source these components from domestic manufacturers. So I think not just for defense industry, but also overall different industries supplying components and spare parts, they will benefit. And like Sanchez mentioned in his speech, it will benefit the MSME sector as well. So I think it's a big boost to defense sector in particular, but also the Indian economy overall.
All right. So, sir, also help us understand, now we know this visit will further strengthen the relationship, but over the years, how has the relationship between India and Spain evolved? Because both the leaders are talking of the future ahead. Both the leaders are talking of cooperation between both the countries, not only between them, but on the global page as well. So, help us understand how has the relationship over the years evolved between India and Spain?
Yes, a very important question and interesting question. See, India and Spain, they have a lot of potential, but surprisingly, like I said in the beginning, the bilateral ties between the two countries are still in an emerging stage, which means there is a lot of potential for development. Now, if we understand the importance of these bilateral visits, then India, Spain established their diplomatic ties in 1956, but the first bilateral visit between either of them, it was in 1982, so 26 years after the bilateral ties were established. And in the last 42 years, there have been only 7 such high-level visits between both the countries. Sanchez's visit is the 8th one. So I think this is where both the countries should take forward. Now there should be more frequent visits at high level. Of course, Prime Minister Modi and President Sanchez, they have met several times on the sidelines of multilateral meetings. But this standalone visit to India and bilateral talks between Sanchez and PM Modi, these are important. Now, both the leaders are talking about the future and how India and Spain can cooperate in this regard. Again, I think we should consider what President Sanchez said in his statement just now about India's role at global level and India's role in the Indo-Pacific region and the geopolitics of the world. And he also mentioned how Spain is an important power in the European Union, Africa, Latin America. So now just to take a wider perspective of how both the countries can cooperate geopolitically, then we need to understand that the Indo-Pacific region, a number of countries are now looking to engage with the Indo-Pacific region. And Spain is also one of those countries that has been taking steps, may not be as much as other countries like France, Germany, Netherlands, Italy, but still Spain has started looking towards Asia or the Indo-Pacific region. And within this region, India is an important partner for Spain. If I may just give an example that recently in August, Tarang Shakti exercise was held in India and Spain was one of the participating countries in that exercise. Similarly, we talk about the collaboration on C-295, but apart from that, Spanish companies are engaged in supplying several components to different defense industries in India, and particularly systems like air traffic control systems, and also some components to ISRO. So Spain has a presence in India, particularly in the strategic sector. And similarly, India can be a partner for Spain to further expand its outreach in this region. Now, talking about how India benefits from stronger relations with Spain, then like Sanchez mentioned, Spain has a good presence in Africa and Latin America. Again, now these regions, they have been, India needs to focus more on these regions, and I believe Spain could be one of the factors. Spain could facilitate India's greater outreach to these regions. And I think this will back up India's efforts to increase its footprint in the Mediterranean region as well, because we have seen India accelerating its engagements with several countries in the Mediterranean region as well. So I think a stronger partnership, it benefits both, and it's a futuristic partnership between India and Spain, as both the countries are looking to expand their footprint, and I think both the countries can help each other in this respect.
All right, sir. At this point, our correspondent Meghna Dev is joining us from Vadodara. I'll take this thought forward to Meghna. Meghna, we were discussing with our guest in the studio how this relationship is not only important for both the countries, but on the global page as well. You get us more as to what is your analysis of how this visit will further strengthen the relationship between the two nations, given the engagements the Prime Minister and the visiting dignitary are having in Vadodara at present.
Yes, when we are actually looking at the the talks, the delegation level talks between both the leaders, we did see a few things specifically feature. We talk about energy, MOUs on railways, MOUs on customs, MOU on tourism and culture. 2026 will be celebrated as India-Spain Year of Culture and Tourism and AI. So a lot in different sectors, as we were talking earlier in the day as well, Preeti, that few areas hold more promise, and we will be seeing MOUs in those sectors. Definitely railways is one sector. We talked about customs, culture and tourism. So these are investments as well. So we'll have to see what are the what more details we could get in terms of the MOUs that have been signed. But having said that, there's also a framework document that will also come, a joint declaration that will be coming once the visit concludes from Vadodara. We will be able to have a glance on what is this joint declaration that will be between India and Spain. So these are a few things that have featured in the delegation level talks, and obviously India opening up its Consulate General in CGI in Barcelona, and also Spain in the near future they will be opening up a Consulate General in Bengaluru, is something that also Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about. Besides that, also very importantly, this is an important aspect for companies, Indian companies working in Spain and Spanish companies which are in India, to see the kind of investment MOU that will be made. Besides that, also Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about the energy sector. Obviously, green energy is one of the aspects that India is working with a number of countries in the European Union. Not only this, we saw President of the Government of Spain, President Sanchez, talk about how India is a very important leader, as in terms of obviously when we're talking about the global order, we're talking about the Indo-Pacific. So all of this was very clearly mentioned in the opening remarks in the delegation level talks between India and Spain. We will definitely be able to divulge in more details as we get to know. There's a press conference by the Ministry of External Affairs later today, wherein they will be giving out more details on the talks that have happened between India and Spain, and specifically on the visit and the MOUs that have been signed.
All right, Meghna, stay with us. Mr. Marjani, we are talking of the relationship between the two countries. The President of the Government of Spain did mention about about how India is progressing under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and also how Spain looks forward to India's wisdom in certain areas like elimination of poverty and also climate emergency. Now, I would want to understand more from you. How does the world look at India now under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi? To what extent has India's image seen a makeover after 2014?
I think the world looks at India as one of the important powers, a major power in the world order, and India has an important role to play in terms of strategically and also in economic terms. India is already among the top 5 largest economies in the world. It's the 5th largest economy in the world. So that is also one of the aspects which is a defining factor in India's engagements with a number of countries around the world. And also in terms of strategic aspect, I think India is a major power in the not just Indo-Pacific region, but also at a global level. And other countries, other nations, they expect India to further enhance its role, further play a role in various issues that are going on at the moment. So I think India's image has gone under a major makeover since 2014. And I think that is reflected in India's engagements with all the countries, all the foreign engagements which India conducts. It is reflected. And President of the government, Pedro Sanchez, also highlighted the same point that Spain looks at India as not just as a partner, but as a country that can actually
Sir, I'll just hold you at the moment. I'll just interrupt you for a moment. At the present, we will be taking you live to Vadodara, where the business delegation of the two countries are holding a photo op. A group photograph of the business delegation is being held, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of the Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez. This is an important visit by the leader of Spain because it is happening after 18 years. And also, talking of the President of the Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, he is visiting India for the first time. Earlier in the day, both the leaders visited the Tata plant, wherein it was inaugurated, and this will foresee the manufacture of C-295 aircraft in India. This will further strengthen not just the relationship between the two countries, but also it will give a boost to India's ambition of self-reliance, Atmanirbharta, in the sector of defense. So this is a photo op that was taking place in Vadodara, where the delegations of both the countries got together for a photograph under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the President of the Government of Spain. Meghna, the bilateral talks are happening, and also earlier in the day we saw both the leaders inaugurated the Tata plant, the Tata Airbus facility in Vadodara. Help us understand more, though our guest also put into perspective for us how significant it will be for the ambition of India for Atmanirbharta and self-reliance. But in particular, C-295, get us more on the salient features of this aircraft. Why C-295? When we talk of, it has been decided and it has been chosen to be manufactured. Get us more an overall view of how it is going to boost India's defense and India's self-reliance dreams.
Well, very importantly, when we are talking about the C-295 aircraft, we are definitely talking about, the Make in India feature. We are talking about how, MSMEs have been roped in for this. Bharat Aeronautics, Bharat Dynamics have been roped in for this. How 18,000 parts will be made in India. So we are talking about all of this, but very importantly, this is going to be a very important aspect when we are looking at that this aircraft can operate without an unprepared airstrip. This aircraft will be able to, carry paratroopers, offload paratroopers as well as loads. So that is, when we are talking about, such features, we will definitely be able to see that it will help a number of missions of the Indian Air Force. When we are talking about rescue missions, we are talking about evacuation missions, we are talking about humanitarian aid, emergencies and all of that, and it can also go to areas where heavier aircraft cannot go. So that is a very important aspect, specifically when we are talking about the features of this aircraft. Importantly, this is going to replace the legacy AVRO fleet of the Indian Air Force. 6 in flyaway condition, 6 C295 aircrafts in flyaway condition have already been delivered to India from Spain. And these have already been inducted in the 11th Squadron of the Indian Air Force, which is at Vadodara. So it has already been inducted here. Now, the first of this C295 aircraft, which will be manufactured at the TSL facility here in Vadodara, the first is expected to come out by 2026, and the rest 39 will come out by 2031. So we will be able to see more aircrafts in the near future coming out of this TSL facility, which was inaugurated today jointly by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of the Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez. Besides that, very importantly, another aspect is that not only the Vadodara facility will be utilized for this, we will be able to see that huge employment will be generated from this. 3,000 plus direct employment and 15,000 plus indirect employment will be generated. So it's not only talking about what we are manufacturing in India, but we are also talking about how much employment we are generating in India with such initiatives.
All right, from here I'll go across to our guest. Sir, before we end this conversation, your quick closing comments on the engagements which both the leaders have had today, though the bilateral talks are still continuing. But what is your evaluation of the engagements, and also what would the visiting dignitary take back home after his visit to India?
To conclude, I would say it's an important step in India-Spain relations, and I think the dignitary would take back a number of things, particularly the greater engagement with this region, which is again was not a feature of Spain's foreign policy, but now with Pedro Sanchez's visit to India, Spain will look forward to engage more with India as well as the wider Indo-Pacific region. So I think that is a benefit for Spain. As far as India is concerned, India also has to look forward to, like I said before, it will diversify its outreach across Europe. And just one point which you mentioned earlier, I think climate change and renewable energy and these areas will also define India-Spain relations in the coming years, because both countries are very keen on these issues. India is one of the major advocates of renewable energy, and Spain is one of the largest manufacturers of renewable energy. Around 30 to 40% of Spain's energy supply comes from renewable sources. So I think this is one area where India and Spain, they will look forward to cooperate more, and I am sure both the leaders and both the countries will take forward their relations that has received a boost with Sanchez's visit.
All right, sir, we'll end it here. Thank you so much for joining in with your inputs on DD India, and thank you, Meghna, for joining in with your inputs. We'll come back to you again once the delegation level talks end. So that was Mr. Niranjan Marjani, Foreign Affairs expert from Vadodara, joining us and putting into perspective for us the visit of the President of the Government of Spain. The bilateral talks between the leadership of both the countries are still continuing in Vadodara. We'll keep you updated. As of now, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.